Life is Drag, Then You Die is produced by SpoKast. SpoKast is a community-focused podcasting house. Our mission is to remove the technical obstacles for creators starting their own podcast. Did you know that the majority of podcasts only ever created one episode? What stopped them? Maybe they didn't have the proper equipment. Perhaps editing was too difficult. Or they couldn't figure out how to get it published to where you're listening to this podcast at right now. Whatever the reason, SpoKast was started to remove those technical burdens for the podcast creators, just like the creators of Life is Drag. We help them focus on what truly matters about producing a podcast. Making a podcast that is absolutely fabulous and, of course, sounds amazing. If you've ever considered starting your own podcast, then reach out to SpoKast. You can follow them on Instagram at spokast.co or by emailing them at hello@spokast.com. Now, let's get to this episode of Life is Drag, Then You Die.
Hello?
Moronica, what's up?
Hi, I'm kind of busy right now. Some crazy shit's going down.
What's going down?
I came out to my parents.
Girl, I'm coming out. That's crazy. How's
Yeah.
it going?
It's going good and not good. I'm slaying though. Puss boots and everything.
I believe that you are. I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah, I can't tell you about it right now, but I'll tell you about it later, okay?
Okay, on the podcast?
Yeah, and is that like pretty much all we're gonna talk about?
And that's all we're going to talk about, and that's happening right now after this phone call.
Ah!
Hey listeners, this is a Mandalorian speaking. I'm coming to you before the episode to give you a bit of a trigger warning. This episode is Moronica's coming out story, so it features a lot of religious and parental trauma that she works through. So make sure that you are in a good space to listen to this episode because it's pretty much all we talk about. So thank you.
I'm coming out. I'm coming out.
You know the words. What are they?
Yeah, sing along.
Wait, I'm so dissociated from being a human being right now. This isn't real. That's fake. Like, I'm on a movie set. I hate this feeling right now.
It doesn't help that Nick is literally on the ground with a different camera.
Hey y'all, I'm a Mandalorian.
I'm Polyamethyst.
I'm Freddie Levon.
I'm Moronica.
But you all knew that because we don't have any new fans. I'm just kidding.
Not with that
We're growing
attitude.
every day. How are y'all? We've been separated for a really long time.
And then just spent the last 3 hours together doing our makeup.
And it was terrible.
was so
but
bad.
if you were there on the live, you knew it was not terrible.
That live was fun.
For an excellent result. Ooh.
I get a peek at the mug.
Yeah, I think we all kind of popped off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when we do that.
I did green today.
Crazy girl.
I'm also giving if you know that TikToker who lives in in Appalachia and she's like, I don't know y'all, I just love being a little critter. I'm just a critter. That's what these bangs are giving right now, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, we love her.
I love her.
I'm giving... What am I giving?
You're giving the really beautiful girls that walk into the lion's lair.
Yeah. If you guys know the hot goth girls at the Lion's Lair, that's what Polly looks like.
Or just
today.
any bar. I'm sure they just walk around the city
Yeah.
showing everyone how beautiful they are.
For our listeners, I'm wearing a little wintry cardigan and a mini skirt.
Yeah, she looks like a Bretzel. She looks like Spice.
Yeah.
So cute.
Sugar.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sugar.
It is more spice, but the colors are sugar.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
But
guess.
didn't Spice do a specific baby blue look?
I
think
feel
she
like,
did.
yeah.
Have you even seen Drag Race? I'm
No.
talking to you, Amanda.
Sorry, I disassociated.
Okay. What about Freddie?
Yeah, Freddie,
Oh.
how are you dressed?
I'm coming. Audience, just try to guess. Picture it. a lightning bolt across the face. It's red. It's blue.
It's Harry Potter?
That was good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything that he says. He's back. Voldemort's back from the dead.
You're talking about David. I thought you were talking about David Bowie, like things he said. I'm like, whoa.
I couldn't
David's
tell you
dead.
anything that he said.
It's a crystal, nothing more.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Bowie. That's me.
Like for real
Right
this
now.
time. Not
We
just an
could be
anime bitch.
heroes. We could be. Just for one day.
Yeah. That's
Changes. Turn and face the strange.
Let's
Okay, yeah, we did it.
Moronica.
Bowie episode. Let's just talk about everything we love about Bowie.
Well, apparently he appropriated drag queen culture and queer culture and queer-baited.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because, Freddie was reading Sasha Velour's book, and we've talked about Hedwig and the Angry Inch on this, and the pop star character is supposed to be based off Bowie, kind of like taking from the queer community and not like letting like drag queens and stuff and not shouting them out or like giving them credit. But I mean, I feel like he was a queer too, so I'm like, go on, buddy.
Yeah. It's blurred lines.
That's so funny. It was in the Sasha Velour book because I just feel like I saw it recently just online.
I
And I'm like-
It's
told
been
you.
Moronica telling you.
Yeah.
No, I saw it online.
I'm a real person. I'm not just someone online.
You are to me.
Not to them.
Also, yeah, speaking of Sasha Velour, if for any We're Here fans out there, the cast has changed. And it's now going to be Sasha Velour, winner of season 9, Jada Essence Hall, winner of season 12, and Priyanka, season 1 of Canada's Drag Race winner. Isn't that crazy? 3 winners.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was just Bob, but now there's 3 winners. And I'm so excited for Sasha to just like be the wise person, like knowing how she was during the book tour and how personable she was with us as an audience. I can't imagine what she's going to be like one-on-one with like queer people who are struggling.
I'm excited to see what comes from Jada too, because I feel like we've seen it in the time that we've like known her on our screens, just like so much growth that she's gone through and like how she just really is confident and like she just was able to kind of be more outgoing. I don't know.
Yeah. And Priyanka,
I want you to
love
talk.
her.
I want you to talk about your look. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, what do you want me to say about it? I don't know. Just a regular girl.
She looks gorgeous. I think this is my favorite. And I say this a lot, but I think this is my favorite one so far. And I just
actually patted today, guys.
A real drag queen.
she's wearing like this Gorgina velvet number that's like a 50s inspired dress.
Yeah, I don't know.
And her classic Moronica wig, and she's got these purple tights on with purple accents in her face.
Wow.
You're just giving the morons everything that they want out of a moron.
Yes,
well-
you are their leader.
Yeah, I knew that I had to do something for my fans.
Yeah.
Which ones again?
Havla is a moron.
Yeah,
I was
she
like
is.
literally depressed all day because no one was a moron, but she gave me a sympathy moron. I'm like, yes.
When?
12 minutes ago when we were in the car.
Yeah, literally on the gram on her story. It's official.
What? Let me go look.
Polly's upset.
Polly made us all like our own like fan like posters where she like did a cool cutout strip of our eyes and made it like bigger over her face. And it
So
had
creative every time.
and our fan names. Yeah,
She's just so creative. Every time she puts out a post, I didn't see it coming.
I loved yours especially.
I know.
Your
Yeah,
eyes
yours
were
was really
so
cool.
big.
The color.
The inspo picture that I found on Pinterest, because I normally, when I come up with ideas, I'm just scrolling Pinterest for so long at like design ideas, and I kind of just take like little things from a bunch of different.
So you steal. Okay.
Literally, all art
Bowie.
is stealing. Okay. But the blue and the black and white is what inspired me to do this, because I'm like, whoa, those look really good together.
Yeah, I loved all the colors, and it was really fun.
Yeah, good job.
So cute.
Also, shout out to everyone who was on the live. It was so fun interacting.
It
with
was
people.
so fun. So many
Zaya,
people.
love you,
Zaya.
girl.
New
Zaya,
bestie.
and she joined for a second, show off her mug because she was just kind of practicing at the same time we were doing our makeup, and that was fun.
So cute.
And Ducky obviously is always there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love her.
And my older sister.
Yes.
She does always join. We kind of love
I
that.
know, so cute.
Yes.
Hi, older sister.
Hey, older sisters.
But it has been a long time since we've seen each other.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel
A
like
week.
since
A
we
week,
didn't
right?
even watch Drag Race together because your sister was in town. And so after the podcast, we just were like, never see you again, I guess. And then you guys went home and I had the worst weekend of my life.
Aww.
No, it wasn't that bad, but I do feel like I'm still in that, or maybe I at least was. I've like turned a new leaf.
Oh, good.
Of that like depression era, sad girl time. But yeah,
I can tell in the way that you're dressing.
yeah, really bright and vibrant, right? Like I did green today. But yeah, what did we do this weekend?
Literally, I don't even know.
We did go to the park,
Yeah, that was
which
fun.
our attempt was to get up really early and go to the park and have like coffee in the park and like be in the park really early. And we woke up at 10 o'clock.
Riverfront,
and
by the way.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Riverfront
fun.
Park.
I live
And so
Riverfront.
we didn't get out there until almost noon, and that was just like lame-o. But we still did have a good time because we got really high, and it was just like a brainstorm, like goal setting, like, you know, hyping each other.
Okay. Yeah.
We were like, that was kind of our goal.
We were like, we're gonna go there and we're gonna get some other fucking work done.
Yeah, because we just like really rarely have like long chats like we used to. And what? Oh, because she's just like working so much, and the second she comes home, we're like, let's play video games. But yeah, it was just nice to like brainstorm ideas for a drag and then like hype each other up because we're just like so insecure about our bodies.
Aw.
So yeah,
Me and Freddie always have those conversations when I'm in the bath and he comes in and sits on the toilet.
like that's so fun. I love that.
And
That's
we
so
just
true, though. The
look
amount of
at
times you've
music and
told
go,
us about
what if we do
that.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cute. That sounds like a blast.
we were like talking about like our plans that we have as a house, and we were like, oh, we can't really like figure this out because we need to be with them to like talk out ideas and flesh out mechanics.
OMG.
And so we still need to do that. But yeah, I feel like,
Where were these ideas when we were doing makeup for 3 hours?
well, I have to focus.
Yeah, we were so
I want to
focused
give
and
you my
entertaining the people on
undivided
live.
attention, and
Yeah.
when I'm doing makeup, it's all on me.
yeah.
All eyes on me in the center of the ring, just like a circus.
Did you guys hear those sirens? I don't know if the mic picked that up. Oh, it
little
did?
bit.
Yeah.
That's cool. We're in the city.
We're downtown.
It's alive.
The Big
But
Apple
if we could just like take a moment and pray for whoever might be.
injured.
Yeah.
Oh my God, speaking of
literally,
praying.
I went to
No, I'm not ready.
You're
Speaking
The
of
girls
prayer,
want to hear it.
speaking of religious trauma,
I
she
I,
just shushed
I
you.
went to T-Bell yesterday because
What is
my
that?
kind of, not that I dread editing the podcast, but it is like a time consuming thing. And so I always need like a pick me up. So my way of like picking myself up is to get Taco Bell so that I have a Baja while I'm editing and I can just eat while I'm doing it. And that's been great. And I went there yesterday to get it. And when I came back, there was someone outside your guys' like apartment complex entrance on the ground, and I saw him sitting on the ground when I went to Taco Bell, and I was like, I wonder why he's sitting there, but I thought maybe he was just waiting for the bus. And then when I came back, there were fire trucks and like paramedics all
Oh,
around him.
shit.
And he was like sitting there talking to them, and I'm like, oh, maybe he's like having heat like exhaustion or something like that.
OMG.
But I know.
How
that's
scary.
scary.
Crazy. Okay.
So it's like, be safe. Be safe out there. Drink lots of water, and the important thing is it's not just water. You need to replenish those electrolytes when you're out in the sun.
So make sure you drink Baja Blast.
Damn.
the reason why I said speaking of praying is because while
She's relentless.
while Amanda and I had a really boring weekend, Moronica and Freddie had a pretty what's the word?
Eventful.
Wow.
Whoa! How'd you guys coordinate that? You guys have
Because
been
we're both
coordinating.
beautiful and hot.
Yeah.
Also, wait, we're all sisters today. We're all
Yeah, with
related.
the black hair.
The
Like
family resemblance.
House of Moronica come through.
for our listeners, we're all wearing black wigs, and I was wearing this short little blonde number, and I'm like, no, I can't. I can't bring myself to do it because everyone else.
and
is.
and I think it's
Bring
very
back.
fitting. We're wearing black hair in
What?
I had just had it in my. We're wearing black hair in support of Moronica for what she has been recently gone through.
Yeah.
And so we are giving tribute to Mother of the House.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Yeah.
This fixes everything.
Now get to it. You guys
Let's hear the
go to the
tea.
Dalles. Why did you go home? Because
Okay.
your sister was here.
Well, we had kind of planned a visit with my brother to go and see our parents, and he likes to coordinate these trips together because
It kind of makes sense.
well, he also just doesn't want to be alone with my
With his
parents.
parents.
I know. Well,
That's
whenever
alone.
I'm like telling but she's like literally about to give birth. But I told her I was like going to mom's, and she's like, okay, have fun. I'm like,
Come with me.
be there. You could be there.
Well, my brother's more like you're gonna get like attacked from two sides. We gotta
We
even
have to
out.
have numbers
We
on
gotta
our
even out the
Yes.
numbers. Or
What do you mean
like
by
Trent
that?
is smart.
because it's Andy's parents versus the kids. Pretty much. Sometimes if we get into
Okay.
so it'll be
into
just like
it.
it would be like just be me and my mom and my dad, and they're both going at me.
Oh, I
But
understand.
this way you at least have your brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it
He
just
is an
creates
ally.
a little bit more distraction. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
an ally.
Ally.
Ally. So none of that really matters. We drove up and we were there for a little bit, and like we sat at like a table together talking, kind of chit chatting for just a short
At
while.
your parents' house?
Yeah,
Your parents.
yeah, and Trent and Bridget were there. My brother and his wife, my sister-in-law. And that was all chill. And my niece and her boyfriend were supposed to come, and we were gonna go on a hike. And they got there, and my brother's really like pushing for us to do something because he likes to keep us like busy
Yeah.
so that we don't start
Sit
talking
and
about
talk.
politics.
that makes
yeah.
sense.
But sorry, Trent. But some reason he wanted my niece's boyfriend to look at their car because that made like a noise, and so they were kind of held up doing that for a while. And guys, my mom's like, she's really crazy. She's really wild.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like a joke. She just like is so all over the place. But so she kind of just starts talking about like, I don't know what to believe these days anymore, which is like weird for her to say.
What is it about like that randomness that parents have of just like out of nowhere dropping like conversation like that? It's like you know where this is gonna go. I mean, maybe in your mom's case she doesn't, but like my dad does that too, where it's like, what are you trying to start right now? Like we're not going, like this isn't going to be a discussion.
Yeah,
But-
and it was just kind of just like crazy things that like was that real, like the moon landing. Like my parents are like really big conspiracy like believers. Like I'm pretty sure they did believe that the Earth was flat for a while. I don't know
Oh
if they're
my
still on
God.
that.
It's true.
I believe
They're
that
like
for like 2 minutes.
Anti-vaccine. That's okay though.
Thank you.
And so she's just kind of saying all these like outlandish things, and like my niece and like her boyfriend are kind of like saying weird things too, and it gets like kind of transphobic, but it's just like they're kind of just like saying outlandish things. I'm just like, okay, maybe they're just being weird. I mean, that's not weird for them, but it's just like, okay, this is kind of casual how they're doing it, and I don't know, it was all bad, but
Sometimes like it really takes like a nudge to feel like you're gonna speak up on something, especially when you've been hearing the same bullshit from your parents and my parents for so many years. It's just like hard to know when to.
Well, and also like considering where you've been coming from, of like since the last time you've seen your parents, probably you've been doing so many things that are queer related. You're surrounded by so many queer people, and we always talk about this. When you step outside your queer bubble, it's immediately like, whoa, I fucking got that the world was crazy.
Yeah.
And so going from that, like you're loving your queer friends and you're trans and
Vibing.
non-binary friends, and then all of a sudden you're surrounded by people that are like talking about them, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, this is like so weird.
yeah,
stark,
I-
very
I-
opposite of the queer bubble.
It is weird because I feel like I have had all this information for so long, but it was still surprising, and just like
Right.
you'll see where it goes.
Okay.
Damn. Okay, yeah. So you've gotten you understand where we're going. Polly and I have yet to hear the story, and so Moronica and Freddie have been back in town for 3 days. I even hung out with Moronica. We went swimming.
Oh, that was so fun.
It was very
I was
fun.
thinking about the day after. I just wanted to text you and be like, that was so fun.
I love you, girl. And we didn't talk about it at all. And so we have been sitting on a secret for a couple of days. So
Waiting to hear.
And this is really a big tea for our friend group because like anytime something goes down with my family, I'm like sending them voice memos the second it ends, because we love the tea. We all relate on it because like Freddie's
Yes.
parents and Amanda's parents are the same way, kind of.
very similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All religious. All come from religious backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so let's see, where was I? The conversation is just kind of like that. And we finally kind of all get back together, but this conversation starts of my mom like losing/quitting this job. And she's kind of telling the story of like, yeah, I thought this guy was really nice, but then he was like telling all these lies about me. And we were kind of like, okay, like what? Like
The story just went on forever, and it felt like
She
spinning
was-
her wheels. Like,
she
what are you
was
talking about?
pussyfooting around the subject.
work. Yeah.
Well, I don't. It sounded like a weird situation. She was talking about like there was some security thing going on, and so all of them left.
She was working at some type of government job. One of the people, the guy that she said was nice, but like he said all these lies about her. He had like a stalker situation. But they were kind of, she kept saying that they would be like under like Homeland Security, like lockdown.
But everybody left except for her, and it sounds like she was the cleaning lady. So like,
and so she's kind of talking
She
about the
freaked
story
out.
about like how she's like, why does everybody else get to be gone and I'm not? Which I agree with that.
especially if you don't feel safe.
And we understand that like small town government can be so shit sometimes, and like it can be the weirdest shit. But she's also kind of saying this thing of like, he was saying these things about like, so she had been saying like all these things he said were lies, but then she was like, I didn't know if he had like cameras because he was like saying these things, and I'm like, how did he know? Like, I was like, ooh, what were you saying?
That they caught on camera.
And I honestly didn't get the entire story. I still don't understand it. But she wraps it up by saying that she tore down their pride flag that they had up in the office.
That was the very last thing that she said of that story. She saved it for the end.
Yeah.
Like
and
she only told you that story to tell you that part. Like,
Well, did she?
I mean, I'm just being dramatic, but it's like
I feel like
why
she
did
likes-
why did you add that in there?
She
Like,
likes telling stories, and she wanted to tell that story, but was, I'm sure, insecure about inserting that part. That's why she included it last.
well, and even if it's like your mom, like your parents don't exactly know your situation, they do know that like you support it, kind of
Do
thing.
they?
Like,
I don't know. I honestly haven't talked
I'm
to
sure
my
they
parents.
know that Trent does at the very least.
Yeah, they definitely know about Trent.
Yeah.
you correct me if I'm wrong though. You've come out to your parents before, right? Because you were kind of like doxxed in a way.
When he was a young teenager, and you kind of just like faked it like you were straight again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So
yeah, I had an old friend like out me to my parents, and then it just kind of like began this like lockdown. I was already homeschooled and that like at home all the time, but like I wasn't going anywhere. I was in my room all the time, and like my parents would like come in and have like long conversations with me. They talked about sending me to conversion therapy camp. And one of the like main things that kind of stuck out from that was my mom was having a conversation with me, and she was like, there's a demon inside you, like you just smiled at me, but like I was really uncomfortable and like not smiling. And that was just kind of like, whoa, that's so weird that you said that. And my mom has done a lot of crazy and really hurtful things in the past, but so they kind of knew from that, but I was just like, yeah, I'm reading the Bible, yeah, okay.
And then also like our situations of like I'm in a relationship with a woman, so
Yeah.
like it kind of gives you sorry, this term is weird, but like a beard, you know, of just
no,
like
it's okay.
like
We're-
oh yeah,
we're straight
we're
passing.
straight, yeah, we are straight passing, you know. And so that's my like I relate to that situation because it's like I've always felt that like the second that Jez and I got married, oh sorry, Polly, I'm sorry, Mona. Polly and I got married, like all my dad's fear of like, oh, he's gay went away. And I feel like
Yeah.
it was a big thing in like the way our relationship turned, because there was no way I could be gay now because Polly and I were together.
Yeah.
And-
And it just hasn't been a subject that's really been brought up.
And
Yeah.
you've given them a reason to not bring it up in a way. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I like kind of went along with it, but I feel like it was very shortly after that I was open to everybody. Like I never really liked the idea of like coming out, but like I just was kind of like chill if someone asked me, and just like, yeah, I'm bisexual. Like,
Yeah.
trying not to make like a big thing about it. And then we became friends and we got together. But I've been open about it ever since.
Yeah.
Just not to my parents, but it just hasn't really come up. So my mom tells the end of that story, and you get that like adrenaline in you.
You could cut the tension in there with a butter knife.
Oh,
It was
fuck.
so like
And-
it was just
and-
like silent. Nobody was saying anything, and it was like really awkward. And like I feel like a couple awkward like
And Trent and Bridget are there too.
Yeah, and we're all
and her boyfriend.
everyone. Yeah,
Oh
and
my
we're
God.
all out.
Is
Court.
knows, right? And that you do drag?
She doesn't
No,
know
she
about
doesn't know I
drag.
do drag.
Oh, okay. Do you think she's
She knows. I think she's like had like known that I'm queer. I've always been like very flamboyant around her and like told her I like drag and stuff.
Okay.
But I think I just went. You guys are weird. Like you're weird.
You said you stood up and you said, "I don't like this. I'm leaving."
Yeah, and so
Oh, work.
You just said like you stood up and you were like, and immediately like everybody else in the room, like we were outside, but we all like also stood up, and like I think did Trent get up too? Like I got
Yeah.
up, Trent got up, Bridget got up,
shit.
and we were all gonna walk
we
off.
were just in that like fight or flight mode, and we
Yeah.
were planning on leaving, and Trent was kind of talking about like going on the hike, but then. Like I start to walk away, and then I stop and I like start like yelling at my parents.
I'm so proud of you for even just the first part of like standing up and saying something and walking away. Like even that is just like yes.
Yeah, but go on.
Okay, and I also like
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I just love your brother. I love your
Yeah.
brother because it's the same thing with my sister.
Yeah.
I just
Got your back.
that sibling support is I feel like even more important than like
Parents.
but also even like this sometimes like the sibling support is
Right.
just like thank God
Because
you
you
at
grew
least
up
get
you
me.
grew
Yeah.
up with them. Like
Yeah.
Nobody knows your parents like your siblings.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's
and
what
so-
it is.
Yeah.
So that kind of like support. I just love
we
it.
all
And
kind of
so-
have that. Like
Like in siblings,
a
yeah.
sibling
Yeah.
that
Thank
really
God.
supports us and
because
loves
your
us.
siblings also know you more than your parents did because you were able to actually trust your siblings.
And they've
Yeah.
lived in the real world and like get
Yeah.
that just like you're just a person, dude.
Yeah.
You're not like this weird mythical thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go off.
Yeah, and it's funny because Trent had said like, yeah, like I was ready to go with you, but when you like stopped and turned around, I was like, okay, we're holding our ground.
And then we went in for it.
And I think I just started shouting like at them, like, you guys don't know anything. I was like, you guys just don't know anything. And this like everybody was like starting to talk at this point. Do you remember what the next thing was? It's funny because when it was happening, I'm like, I'm gonna remember every detail, and then like as the days pass, I'm like, I'm forgetting everything.
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember what the next part was. There were lots of crazy things that were said that we could dive into now.
Yeah, and I think we just were like, you guys are homophobic. You guys hate gay people. And my parents were kind of just like, I think they were saying like,
No, we don't hate gay people.
my
It
mom
a
was
very-
saying that, and then I feel like my dad was on the other end though, and like kind of being like, they're disgusting kind
Yeah.
of vibe.
He was.
And he was coming off like really harsh. It was actually kind of surprising because my mom was like willing to have a conversation, but we didn't like get anywhere with her. We talked with her for a really long time, and I think it was just like with willful ignorance because she would ask me to explain things to her, and I'd explain it to her, and then she'd like act like
Yes.
she didn't understand at all.
Yes.
And I don't know if I already said this, but there was just stuff that I'm like, you're a manipulator. Like you're trying to like manipulate how I feel about the situation. Like, there were like a kind of a few funny points where like my mom didn't get my bisexuality, and I was like, well, like, because she's like, how can you like? Because she just like, thinks that I have to be with men.
So okay, so everyone starts yelling at her about like you're homophobic. At what point do you guys be like, let's talk about this? Or
It just kind of started turning into that. My dad ended up storming off, and he was saying like gross stuff, like talking about just like transgender
gross.
surgeries and like gross stuff about it.
But he was acting like it was disgusting and like being like, well, they have to put a dildo in every day to keep it dilated. That's so disgusting. Like,
no way.
Yeah.
yeah.
And he was talking
and
about.
it's like, why does whatever? Even if that was true, why does that bother you so much? It's not
Literally.
your life.
Literally.
Okay.
Literally.
So he storms off.
But he's also making all these like generalizations, and like he was
course.
talking about like children being forced to like transition, and I just told them like, I don't believe you.
That's
I don't
not
think it's a real
happening.
thing.
That's not happening.
Yeah, I was like, and I was
And
like,
some one-off kid that is a drag queen that is going and getting money put in his underwear. I don't know.
I think that was an
Right.
exaggeration though.
Oh, absolutely.
It's probably that ballroom video that we saw online of just that kid dancing. They're like, look at this perversion. It's like,
It's
you're
like-
the one who's perverting it.
It's some kid's name, and it's like some kid dances, but
Yeah.
There was also a point that he was talking about. What's that group that he said?
oh, so he's talking about this like weird association that's like men who love children.
Oh
and,
my God.
And he was like, they're in Pride, like, but we were just like, you're making generalizations, like, and we don't think that that's happening. We don't know that that's happening if that is, and no one
obviously it's
approves
not
of that.
anything
Like,
that we
Know it.
support. Like, you really think that we're going around
They-
and we're saying, yes, we want the men that. Wait, what was it called?
Love
Nick knows the
children.
name. Nick knows the name.
Yeah.
is
There's
it?
an infamous group called NAMBLA.
That is
Yes.
what
North
it is. Thank you.
American Man Boy Love Association, which
Yes.
is completely just a pedophile group. It's got nothing to do with being gay or queer. It's
Yeah.
just like this group of people that profess their
Yeah,
Well,
you
and-
think those.
group of cis men that profess their love. of
Yeah.
men
Well,
boys.
and also it's like conservatives and Christians who are like they want to make pedophilia part of the alphabet mafia or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's like the alphabet mafia does not want pedophilia part of it, you know, and that's their whole thing too, is like, oh, you know, if you can allow people to change genders, you can allow them to become a horse, and it's like, that's you're saying that. No one else in the world who understands just the way life isn't saying that. Like, you're the ones who are making up these crazy things and then just being like, this is what could happen. But
Going back to this group, it's like, I cannot believe that you are so crazy to think that when I go to Pride and
Yeah.
I see a group that is men that love children, you think that I'm fucking supporting that? Like, that is insane that you just made that up about me. Like, I don't get it. That is wild to me that they actually think people like that are at Pride.
They just don't understand. I think that to them, the NAMBLA stuff is the same as doing
Yeah.
drag.
yes,
God.
oh my gosh,
And that's another thing is I was like talking about like drag queens reading to children, and I'm like, you don't know anything about that, like, and he's like saying that they're like doing all these crazy things. I'm like, no, you don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But he ends up, I think he gets more mad at my brother. I don't know what my brother was saying specifically, but he was like, you hate me. And he just like storms off.
He did. He
And
stormed off.
I was
and
like honestly
done.
embarrassed for my dad. I'm like, Dad, why are you such a pussy bitch? Like,
Was
and-
slamming doors behind him.
and that relationship, my mom is definitely like, she's like the minister. She's the teacher. She's the leader. She's like, she runs the house, and
alpha.
alpha female, high value. And then it does calm down, and we're able to sit down, and we're just trying to explain things. But it's just like the craziest stuff. Like, my mom tries to say that she was like a lesbian when she was younger. She's like, I used to just think that I hated men. Like,
You probably did.
I'm yeah, and that's why I said, I'm like, well, that's because you had guys treating you like shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, okay, well, like, are you a lesbian? Like, do you like still have sexual attraction to women? And she's like, well, I think like they're like I compliment their outfits. Like, I think they're pretty.
Oh
I know.
Sorry, we need
And we all like in unison were like, you're not a lesbian.
We need
But
her
also,
to
why-
be submitted.
It is insane that she just tried being
Yeah,
like,
and I was
well,
like, we all think women are the more beautiful like gender.
Well, and okay, so we get that. So you're heated, and you're like, I have to go off, and like I can't stand it anymore. Freddie, what are you feeling the second you see her doing this? And like, obviously you follow her, but like, is that
Are
just
you
ignite
talking?
your flame too? Like, are you ripping at
talking?
these bitches?
I said a few things. I was mostly letting her have her time because she had a lot more to say. I don't know, it's her parents, you know, but every now and then I was piping in.
And me and Trent were referencing Queens. We're like, your moment, have it. We were just like referencing things from the past. Oh my gosh. Okay, I remember more about
Okay,
this.
please
Keep going.
get more
No.
into-
Oh. I don't know. The one thing that I remember saying is your dad talking about the dildo stuff, and I was like, and then he started saying stuff about like they take skin from other parts, and sometimes it grows hair like in there, and I was like,
So what?
So?
Why does it concern
and I was like,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
do you know how disgusting men are? Do you know? Because
She did say that.
I did. I
Eh.
was like, men are nasty as fuck, and it's not any different. And I'm sure trans people are much more clean than you ever have been.
Yes.
Really?
T.
Really?
Holy shit, okay.
Like you have to actually scrub between the cheeks, not just let the water run through. Like it's insane.
What?
Yeah, no, you should try it.
No. What was the other things that? Oh my gosh, I remembered and then I forgot it.
Well, you were talking about
Things calm down. You're able to have a conversation.
I'm thinking really hard.
well,
yeah.
what was the thing? Something about
Oh, my mom wasn't like getting, so like she was trying to kind of turn like what she thinks gay people are. Like she thinks that it's like someone who's been bullied so much and told that they're gay that like, yeah, that's just easier. That's where I fit in. Like that's kind of how she was explaining it, or just like thinking
you
that
are
I was,
what people tell you are.
yeah, and she was thinking that I was like mistaking like my interests like and other things like art and fashion and beauty for gayness. And but that at a certain point I'm like, I'm not gay because of that. I'm gay because I like dick.
She literally yelled that at her mom. It was so funny, and the way that Trent busted up laughing.
I'm so in love with you. That is my favorite thing ever. I'm surprised your mom actually didn't die right there.
I'm gooped
I
and
know,
gagged.
and she was like saying something about it
Did
later, like
every cow raise their head and turn, and like the deer in the meadow are like, whoa, like what the fuck? Whoa.
that's what it felt like.
That's what it felt
And
like
later
to
your
me.
mom what?
She was like bringing that back up. I don't know what she was saying about it, but I feel like she just didn't understand that. Like I was just like I was making a point. Like
Yeah.
she was just acting like, oh, is that how people talk these days? Like I like dick. Like I guess they kind of do, but
Yeah, I like cock. I like balls. Like that. And what's so funny is like we used to think this way, but like where I'm at now, trying to just understand that mindset is so wild to me, because it's so much easier to just to just know that it's like, yeah, you just like what you like. Like I really just like dicks. That's not that weird. And people are allowed to just have fun. But like the way that they just make it so strict, it's like that seems so hard.
yeah,
and just weird.
it
Like,
was hard to even get into this conversation because just anything about the body is like sexual to like Christians, and like just it's all sexual to them, or like they have a problem like acting like sexuality isn't evil at all, like, you know.
Yeah.
But so she kind of like started harping this thing of like, I would never want to like force someone like to do something against their will. And that's what she was pretty much saying, is like, you trying to force me to like accept this is forcing me against my will.
Oh my god.
And
I'm encouraging you to love your son.
yes. But it just like brought on me and Trent like bringing up everything that she ever like forced against our will.
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
And we also did bring up the church a lot, because it's like, okay, well, you guys are like, you're making this biased decision. Like the stuff is happening in the church, but you're not coming after the church. You're only coming after gay people. But I was telling her, I'm like, what about the time you forced me to vote for Trump? Like I didn't have a decision in that. And like I was 18 years old and you wouldn't let me vote for who I wanted to, or not vote at all.
Yeah.
yeah.
What'd she say to that?
Well, and she
She
kept
was denying it.
She
She
kept
said,
trying
"I
to
never did
backtrack.
that."
Yeah, I would never do that. I'm like, no, you did. And we were like, when me and Trent were having these moments and she denied it, we'd be like, no, you did.
Rolling,
Yes.
out, rolling
Yes.
out the receipt paper.
Oh
of
god,
all
I
the
love
times.
Trent. I'm just like so happy that Trent was there.
Yeah.
Like literally when you guys were texting us and you're like, we're taking a break with Trent and Bridget, I was like, wait, I'm so happy that he is
Yeah.
there. And I'm like,
He took care of us.
Yeah,
and I'm
they
just
did.
also just like, it makes me so happy for you that like, just to have that support. Like I know I already said it, but just like, I was like so grateful,
And
since we couldn't be there.
It felt like too he was like ready to support me like that.
Yeah.
Yes, and my
He was
sister
prepared.
It was
said that
instant.
too. My sister said that too, because I always bring up concerns, and she's like, "Well, if he decides that that's his choice to make, he just has to understand that his family won't like talk to him anymore." I'm like, "Wait, this bitch is ready to cut."
Hey.
someone off for me.
Cut her father off for you.
And I'm like, that's like,
Yeah.
I love my sister.
Yeah.
Wait,
Anyway.
yeah, you're trying to
I
get through to
know.
your mom and she's refusing to accept anything.
Yes. Well, I was also gonna say about my brother is I think he's been kind of ready to like make this decision for a while. My sister has like she cut off contact with my parents like a few years back.
Yes, I literally was going to bring that up.
And she moved away, and it's been kind of like there's been kind of interesting stuff. Like when I said I was gonna invite my sister to the wedding, like my mom was like, "Is that like really fair to you guys though?" Like she's like not like talking to us. And I was just like,
What?
Yeah,
that's
fine.
perfectly fair to me.
Yeah, it's perfectly
That's
fine.
actually more than fair.
So I think he's been ready for this for a while. He was telling me that like he's kind of kept this relationship going just because of my niece, because that's kind of like how we kind of facilitate like get-togethers and stuff.
Yep.
But now she's out on her own, so he blocked them after this and was like, "Yeah, I'm not talking to them anymore." And he's still like, "You can do what you want to do for the wedding, but like I'm done with them."
I
Damn.
remember I was like telling Polly, I was like, wait, didn't Trent want to cut off them and like brought it up to you about like, I think I'm going to do this. And like, I feel like one of the last times you went and saw your family too. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you know what your consensus is on the wedding and inviting your parents?
I don't think I can do it with them anymore.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Which is hard because like even during the conversation, I'm like, well, we're able to talk about this, and I just have always kind of like had in my head that like maybe once they like knew, and I felt like I was holding my own, and I was saying that I'm proud of who I am, and I was saying that I'm happier than I ever have been, and I told my mom that like growing up was so hard with so much shame and not loving myself, and now that I do love myself. And that was one of those points where she was just like, "You're saying you're happier than ever, but right now," I was like, "Yeah, I'm not happy right now because I'm in this situation with you." But yeah, the conversation pretty much just boiled down to like, I'm not going to change my beliefs. You can't force me to do that. And I think my mom was like ready to let me go too, because like we were like, okay, well, we needed to stop talking because we were talking in circles. My mom knows how to talk in circles, and she'll
Yeah.
just,
I mean,
like,
it was like a 2-hour conversation at least.
yeah, but
And-
what we talked about, hardly anything.
I know. Well, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
Sam.
you're missing big parts.
I'm
I
missing
feel
big
like.
parts.
Okay.
How are we getting to the end?
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, guys.
Backtrack.
It's
That's
okay.
okay.
Okay. So the conversation starts out where I'm like,
I'm sorry. I'm
Punch her in the
so
face.
entranced in this story.
okay, so as this starts out, I'm not saying like, that's my community. Hey, I'm just like, that community.
Yeah.
But then as it goes on, I'm like, I think I brought up the fact that my mom had told me that there was a demon in me. And I said, I was like, do you still feel that way? Because if you feel that way, I'll leave right now. And she was like, no. And that was another thing. She was like changing what like her vocabulary meant. She's
Right.
like, I didn't mean that literally.
You did.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, you're backtracking. You're like,
You meant to scare me in that
yeah,
moment.
that's what I said to him. Like that felt like that was like a way to intimidate me or like freak me out into like being freaked out of myself.
Yeah, and scared of myself. Like, oh, the demon is actually in me.
Yeah.
She wanted you to repent. She wanted you to.
wanted to fill you with shame.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
nothing, like, especially when you're so young, that concept of like, there's a demon inside me, like, ugh.
And she was backtracking on that, and then at a certain point, I just told her that I do drag, and I was like, "How do you feel about that?" Oh, what?
The
Say it,
way
Freddie.
the way that you told them was like epic to me, because you literally like there were just like epic moments where you were pausing and like you were yelling.
Ooh, you were thinking. You were
telling them
thinking.
the fuck what you were gonna tell them.
I
Yeah.
just wish
You
I
were
could have
going
seen this
off.
I
because,
know.
like, I'm so happy too, because this is what Polly always says of like, I always just break down in the moment, and it's like, it's that moment that really counts where you're able to just like stand up for yourself fully and be confident and speak clearly and have your thoughts collected. It's like, yes.
Well, I was telling Freddie too that it's kind of been the first time where I could do that, and I could just like walk away like very easily, and I had like I felt like I had my own like autonomy, because I've always these conversations have been while like I'm in a long car ride with my parents, or like I'm
No
in my
escape.
room as a
Yeah.
kid, and if I tried to run away, they would like not let me and like come get me. What were you gonna say?
How
Freddie?
did she say it?
She literally just like stopped and was like, I do drag. How do you feel about that? Like, and it was so like a moment, and it was like, oh, you told her. You told her.
Did she say it makes her feel like sad? What'd she say?
She said like that hurts very much or something.
Yeah, that's what my
Yeah.
mom would say for sure.
And then she was saying that it like it's offensive, like it's a mockery of a woman. And I was like, it's not a mockery. If you saw what like if you saw my drag, it's not a mockery.
Yeah.
And then she was saying it was like blackface. Yeah, and I was like,
No
it's not the same.
She, there's nothing like cis straight women that love to try and find a way that they can be
Compare.
marginalized.
Literally.
Like, they're like, they'll never know though, like what I have to go through because of like my inner organs, and it's like they're not trying
to claim that.
they're not trying to take your period away.
Like, you know what, one of the things she said at the end of the conversation was like, I'm like happy for COVID because like I can relate to the oppression based on like the vaccines.
Yeah, she's been looking for a way to be oppressed.
And
that
Freddie,
was a common theme.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's your fucking sister.
Yeah.
She wants to be oppressed so fucking bad for some reason.
Yeah.
So I'm telling her, I'm like, it's not a mockery. I love it. It's just, and it's funny because earlier in the day when we were just chit chatting, they're like, do you make any art anymore? And I was just like, let's talk about something else.
Yeah, because I am actually making like a ton of art, but
Yeah.
not ones
Not
that you
we
would
can share.
I
Yeah,
was like,
approve
this
of.
is my art. It's just my art. And there's different forms of it. It doesn't, I don't know. And then, so she was saying it was like blackface. And I was like, well, you didn't have a problem when that one lady did it at our like homeschool, like
Oh, God.
Halloween. Don't worry, it wasn't Halloween. It was the harvest party, but someone was doing blackface.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you didn't have a problem with it then. You thought it was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Read her.
And then, wait,
Drag her.
because the whole room gagged at this point. She goes, okay, well, there's two different types of blackface.
Oh, please enlighten us, please.
She did not continue because we literally all went, no!
We were like laughing.
Good.
It's funny because there were so many points where we were just like laughing in her face. We're like, oh yeah, the good type and the bad type. Like,
That's literally what she was about to say, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
literally.
No. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of you for being like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Is there anything else I'm missing,
Yeah,
Freddie?
what-
Sorry, I'm
more-
telling this story so bad, but it's just like,
No,
you're-
this
you're
is perfect.
telling it perfect.
Yeah, you're doing really good. How did it kind of close out?
Well, is there any more moments? Freddie said there was a million.
There were parts that I felt like that Moronica was literally like standing up and like yelling at them, and it was like crazy to me because she was literally like saying like "fucker" like every other like
Oh,
or
shit.
motherfucking this like
Yes,
and like
I love you.
literally standing up and yelling in their
Fuck
face.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was just like, "You are going off right now."
I was abrasive.
Well, how did she react? Because that's the line that I cannot cross with my family. If I start raising my voice or if I use any terms,
Because that
they
passion-
immediately shut it down and they say, I need you to talk to me calmly if I'm going to listen to you, which is like true. But at the same time, you just you fill me with so much rage.
And emotion. That talking to my dad, sometimes I'm shaking and like crying, and like he can raise his voice, but like I can't raise mine, and it's just like
Yeah.
because the second you start getting passionate about it, you lose like validity in it somehow.
Oh,
and
God,
it's like,
what a good point.
It's like why? Like
Yeah.
just because I can't compose myself to talk about it because you're literally like offending me right in front of you, you know?
The last time that I had like a really heated moment with my sister, she was like, I called her a psychopath. And then she's like, I'm psycho. Look at you. You can't even compose yourself. You can't even like speak your sentences properly, which like the audience knows that I have like I have a problem with being able to speak like really clearly
As do I.
and not messing up my words, which like I'm not insecure about in this space. But when she brings that
yeah.
up, that was like, oh my God, you're such a bitch. You are a bitch. And I said that too.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh gosh. was there anything else?
It's so hard to say.
We talked about the church a lot and just like how they didn't. I already said that.
Those were the big points.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's been 2 hours and you guys are like,
2
okay, we
hours?
need to like end this for right now.
2 hours?
Yeah, we ended up going to a bar that Freddie chose because he knew that they did drag shows there.
It's the only fucking bar in the Dalles that does drag shows, and I was like, let's go there. That's where I want to
That's
go.
cool.
And they were doing live music, and it was actually so good. I'm like, this is the
It was
best
fun.
like just random guys I've ever seen.
Were you like flushed? Were you like
I
red?
honestly felt pretty good. I don't know, like in the whole situation, I really felt good because I knew what
You
like
knew you
my
were right.
opinion. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like I knew I was right, and I knew that.
And you also knew how they were going to respond and react.
yeah.
And was it like when you guys went to the bar you weren't talking about it and like kind of not addressing the elephant in the room, or were you all like talking about it?
We were like kind of talking about it, and then in the bar not so much, but like we had like said so much, it said everything we had been feeling, so like just on the like way out we were kind of like making jokes about some kind of like the highlight points. And at another point Trent was like, me and Katie have known that Andy was gay since he was like 7.
Damn.
He's like, sorry bro.
You did his job so good. Literally the way. Yeah, that is so funny.
But the bar was like pretty fun. The music was good, and I started drinking as soon as we got there.
Did you get
Yeah.
a
I was
burger,
like,
mama?
Later on, I did.
Okay, thank goodness.
But they were playing like "Simple Kind of Man" by Leonard Skinner, and then also "Mommy's All Right, Daddy's All Right, They Just Seem a Little Weird." You know that one.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect song.
And me and Trent were just like looking back and forth at each other, like, yeah.
Just a little weird. Those
yeah.
guys.
Oh. And also, I feel like that's like, mommy, daddy, you're just a little weird.
Yeah.
Like you guys too.
Yeah. And he just kind of talked to us about what we wanted to do, and we had
Because
just
you were contemplating leaving.
well, we were contemplating just like staying still, which was crazy. We're like, maybe we can work this out, like, and then we decided not to stay, and then we stayed in a hotel that night. And that was fun.
But didn't you go back?
We
yeah,
did.
we
We had
did-
to
we-
go back to get our stuff because
Yeah.
we just left to like stop the conversation.
Right.
Because it had gone on for so long and it was
Yeah.
going to keep going.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting anywhere. And so we got back. We just went inside and grabbed our stuff. And like, I hugged my mom goodbye. And she was like saying, she's like, I guess I'm never going to see you again, pretty much.
Yeah, correct.
And I was just like, no. I wasn't sure at this point. I didn't know how to feel about the whole situation.
Yeah.
And then I hugged my dad goodbye. We weren't sure how he was going to be. We're like, is he going to still be fuming?
He missed most of the conversation. I mean, he was there for like the first, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And then he was gone the rest of the time.
But so I had my quick little goodbye, and then me and Freddie got in the car, and Trent and Bridget were still out, and I saw that Trent was like yelling something at my parents, and I guess like my dad was like saying something like, you're letting your brother down, like how could you let him go down this path?
He said, you don't really love him if you let him go down this path, is what he said to him.
To Trent?
To Trent,
Yeah.
when Trent was leaving.
That's like kind of what I was saying last week of like, our parents are like, it's our responsibility to put the people around us on the
know.
correct path.
It's funny because I was listening to last week's episode too, and I was just like, oh, this all pertains to this. I wonder
I
why
know.
this like just like
You
Foreshadowing.
yeah.
Well, and did you kind of have a feeling going this weekend that you're like,
I was dreading it, but I didn't know like exactly why.
Yeah.
I think just talking about, because we're getting married soon, and our parents are supposed to be a part of that. And so it's just kind of like, okay, we got to talk about that. We just have to make it through to the wedding. We kind of had planned on like coming out after that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of lightly, but
But again, it's just like, you dread seeing them. Were you kind of dreading having them at the wedding?
yes, I was. 'Cause
So
I'm
it's just like,
how
why
am I
are
going to
we-
have these people? And especially now, it's just like, I can't have those people at my wedding, like with all my friends, like all my queer gay friends.
Why are we like so desperate? Because we're like, oh, the parents should be at the wedding. But it's just like, I hate being around them. I dread seeing them every single time. I dread them coming to the wedding. And it's like, this grasp that our family has on us
Yeah.
is insane, because no matter how much love and care we receive outside of our family, there's still that part of us that chases that so frequently and like so dearly to our hearts. So dearly to our hearts.
This is like I was saying with my dad, of like, this was just the answer that you needed, because you're sitting here like contemplating like, can I have them there supporting me, not fully knowing who I am, and like supporting a lie almost, and like thinking we're one way when we're not that way. I feel like that's more what gets at my brain, is that like I'm deceiving you in a way, simply because I'm not showing you how great I'm doing because of who I am.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
because you think I'm some other way. You think I'm doing great because I'm loyal and faithful and all that stuff. And because I go to church and I do this. I'm amazing and great because I don't do that, and I love myself and all these things, you know, and I've embraced myself. And you were saying it earlier, of like, part of me was hoping that when they would, you know, like maybe if we talked about it, like, that's so relatable, of just like they'll see me, their son, and maybe that'll just be all that they need to like relinquish their bias to like, well, I love my son, but it's just like, when that reality hits of like, oh my gosh, like you're just not willing to budge even for me. That's like, you get to that point where you're like, it's laughable, and I actually don't care as much anymore, because it's
Literally.
like, you're not living in reality, and I just need to accept that like you're actually fucked.
Yeah, it's just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because, like, I mean, I do love my mom, and there's so many, like, good aspects about her, but, like, that was the majority of what she would talk about, and that's her belief, like, and I just can't be around it anymore.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Me too.
She texted us, just came out to my mom, LOL, awkward. And that's all we got from her. The rest of the
we're
night.
like, what?
I also wanted to finish the little last bit about Trent there, because when Andy's dad said that to Trent was calling him a fucking asshole, which I was like, yes, that's why he was yelling. That's what we were seeing.
And
You're a fucking asshole.
I gave Trent his flowers. I also have to give Bridget her flowers too,
Yeah.
because there's also another part of that, like, you know, she's married into this family, and but like
they relate so much.
yeah, but like that support
You
of
and Bridget.
that support that you have for like your partner's sibling, like I feel that from my brother-in-law too, you know. So it's just like that feeling of like love you. I just love you.
Yeah,
thank
because
you.
you're here and involve yourself into this family because you love my sibling so much. And you know, you didn't have to, but you're here and you're fighting with them, and it's like, that is just, I'm so
It's also funny that I didn't like ever officially come out to them. I was just like, I do drag, and then we had this like big fight, even though we haven't like talked about anything.
I know he was a
They actually were
but-
acceptable. There was nothing to talk about with
No,
it, which
I
is why
know.
they're like the biggest allies, the biggest.
They can
But they
see
were
reality.
like, I feel like they were just ready to be like, we love you and we support you. Like
Yes.
they were ready to do that.
Yes.
And I guess part of the reason why my sister decided to like cut off contact with my parents is because she has a son, and she was like, if he's gay, they're not gonna accept him. And so that's why she's like, that's
she's
crazy.
like, the thought of my parents bullying my child is too much, and I can understand that, being to the point that you're like, they are not in my life anymore. Yeah. Wow. So I am gooped gagged. I just shit my pants. I threw up and you weren't looking.
oh my god, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like, gosh, I wish I could collect myself. I feel like the episode's going on, I'm just gonna remember like little bits from it and be like, and also.
No, I love it. Just keep doing that. Literally, I'll just sit here in silence waiting for you to remember
You know
more.
what else she said?
Yeah, that's crazy. And honestly, I kind of feel the same way in the sense of how you were feeling afterwards. You were like, I was confident in what I believe in and what I said. And so it's not like I was regretting that conversation at all. And I always think about, like, if I do have that, like, they know a lot, but they don't really know the nitty gritty and details. And I have a feeling that, like, I've prepared myself for this for so long that I am like, I think I will be perfectly content with my decision. And it helps having so much support outside of them too.
And this is like my therapy experience is very heavily consistent of this one topic, and so much conversation about like, okay, what am I willing, like, what do I think is at stake? Because I'm always saying like, oh, I just don't care really like how my dad feels about it. And she'll be like, okay, well, like, why are you apprehensive? I'm like, well, and like, a lot of me is like, my dad does support me like when I really need it. Like if I need money, my dad will help me out, and he's always been giving and caring that way. And he's always willing to just do what I need him to do. But so I'm like, oh, I'm worried to lose that. But then, you know, she's like, well, like, does he pay for anything right now? I'm like, no. She's like, does he do this? I'm like, no. And she's like, does he do that? I'm like, no. And she's like, so what are you relying on him for? And I feel like that's kind of what you were saying of like, oh, I wasn't in their house or in their car. Like, you're living your fucking life. You're paying for your life. You're supporting yourselves. Like, your parents no longer hold dominion over you because you are an adult just like them. And like, just because they're your parents doesn't mean that like anything. And so I feel like that's that same realization of like, I actually don't need them. And that's why I feel like I can say this finally. That's how I felt. But then I didn't do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like always conflicting. It's like I was saying earlier, you don't need them because you do have all of that support. But for some reason, there's that little thing that's like, hey, you do need them. They're your family. And my family's extremely family oriented, and they do not have any friends besides each other. They spend all of their time together. And that just became too overwhelming for me. So I think that's probably my biggest struggle with trying to separate myself from them, because I grew up in a family where we were hanging out
every weekend, every day.
Well, every day. Like when I was living at home, my sisters that are 8 and 9 years older than me were over every single day.
With their kids.
With their kids, yeah.
It's like, yeah, you were like surrounded by them for so long.
Yeah.
Well, you don't necessarily need it, but you hope and want for the best. Because that's like when you're growing up, that's your first introduction to everything. So I think that's that special
it's just
connection
sad that,
to your parents.
that there is that like connection in a way that they can like manipulate that. It's just sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this reality is kind of like setting in on all of us, because it's just like, we're seeing Polly's family tomorrow, which this will be the first time we're seeing them since Polly kind of had like a blow up situation with her family. We've seen her parents once since then, but like her sister more so. And so I'm really nervous going into that, because I'm prepared to fight for my life as you guys did. But also
I know you can
hoping
eat
not
up though.
to.
Yeah.
Well, I eat it up every time.
Well, guess where we're going?
Oh,
Red Robin?
Fucking, and they're smart. They're smart. They're putting it in a public place so that I can't tear them to shreds. Yeah, we're going to Longhorn.
Longhorn?
I don't know what that is.
What is that?
Or Texas Roadhouse.
Texas
That's
Roadhouse.
where you guys had that terrible time, right?
Yeah, where my mom was throwing peanuts at me, and then my parents
How
yelled
could
at the
you guys
fucking
go
waitress.
back there?
Because it's her
But
dad's
I'm like,
birthday.
it's my dad's birthday, and I haven't seen him in so long. I'm like, but maybe I don't have to
Did he
go.
have the worst experience of his life? Did he say that?
He's
They
so
will
stupid.
always go back because they don't want to cook.
Maybe we shouldn't go to that and just like see my parents after that, like when they go home.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I'm
But
gonna do
then
that.
like, I recently was like, oh, I'm going to test the waters with my dad and see how things go. And we went out for Father's Day, because Polly does a good, like, she will at least tell her family, like, oh yeah, we're going to this drag show. And because they don't know you, we would always be like, yeah, our friend does drag, look. And they'd be like, okay. And we'd be like, yeah, they're really good at drag and we love watching them, but we were doing drag the whole time with you. But like, I've never even told my dad anything. Like, again, I would love to my dad to write out what he thinks my life is and the perception that he has of my life, to then go in and edit with a red marker to be like, get rid of all of this.
Get real.
Get real, because it's so skewed from what's my actual reality. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll share with him that like oh yeah, we went out this night, and like I didn't ever tell him about Portland, like the reason we went, you know. And I couldn't even get to that point because he already was like, yeah, they're groomers and they're pedophiles, and I was like, wow, like, and just that was like I was saying earlier, that answer that I needed of like, you're saying that without even the conversation being prompted, but like you would be shocked to know there's a groomer right in front of you then, because like you would hate to know that, you know. It's just like my sister always says, like, he's so just tone deaf, and like that's why parents shouldn't speak like that, because your kid could literally, our situation, you're being so homophobic and the whole time your kid is literally a homo, you know.
He's literally a homo. Look at him right there. Look at him.
Yeah.
He has his legs crossed and everything.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for me telling my parents next.
I think it's gonna go decent.
I'm nervous. I'm scared, you guys.
It'll be okay.
We'll see.
I'm like thinking of you, and I love you so much. And
Thank you.
yeah, you have the support of the whole podcast.
Thank you. Especially if her parents don't come to the wedding now, like they're gonna want to know why.
Right.
So I'm like, and I'm also nervous now that they're gonna run into her family in town because they live in the same fucking town still. And so I 100% know that her parents will out us.
They
to
are
mine
crazy. They
if they see them
They
in
would do it
public.
in a heartbeat.
They wouldn't think two thoughts about it. It very much felt like trying to get people on sides too. To
Yeah.
me, like,
Do you know how often they kind of do see each other? Is that
it's infrequent, but it has happened. I would say it's happened at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Well, we also know because like when we were like freshly out of high school, I was going on this
Swim coach trip. We were both swim coaches on swim team.
and I told my mom about it, but she ended up like freaking out about it and being like, I didn't know you were staying overnight. But I was like, I told you. But she had she called everybody. Like, she called my work. She called
my God.
We stayed
Allie's
somewhere because we
parents.
were camping. Yeah, she called your work. She called.
I think I was like
my
19
parents.
at the time, but I was like, I
oh
also
my
told you.
God.
Damn. Well, and you just know it's going to happen now that like it could happen. You know, like it's just been teetering on like they're gonna meet, and now it's just
Well, you gotta. That's you manifesting it. Okay, just when you're thinking it and you're like, oh my gosh, they're probably going to see each other and they're probably going to out them out. You're manifesting that. So just you really I'm a strong believer in manifestation. So just say, I will come out to my parents in my own time, and they will be completely understanding. Well, maybe not completely understanding, but they will not force anything upon me. They will not make me feel a certain way. They will not judge me in front of my face, at least. That's the shit you have to manifest.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see. I really don't know what their reaction is going to be. At the very least, I think it's going to be a huge shock to them, because I did kind of set the stage a little bit because I wanted to tell them pretty much now because I need to. But I kind of was like, when we saw them, I was like, we came in and they were doing yoga, which was kind of funny.
wait, I love them.
And it was early in the morning and we hadn't like texted or anything, like, because we were just gonna leave like the Dows the next day after staying at that hotel. And I kind of told them like, sorry we like sprung this on you guys and like didn't like say hi, like hey or anything, or tell you when we were coming, because like we kind of got into it with Andy's parents. I'll tell you about it later. And my sister texted me that immediately after we left. My mom was talking about it. She's like,
Oh shit.
she was like, yeah, Allie said she's gonna tell us about it later, so we'll see what happens.
She wants to know the tea.
She knows she wants the goss.
Yeah.
Well, and she knows that my parents kind of like have started fights with me in the past, but usually it's just like in the past it was always just like my parents were just like only talking about politics, and I'd be like, stop fucking talking to me about this, and they just like wouldn't stop.
Well, and like, do you see your parents as far as Moronica's parents go? You know, like, do you see them like being as dramatic with that opinion or state of mind, or is it more just like that's just kind of how they've always felt kind of thing, like they really haven't put much thought into it?
Not as far as that, but I do definitely think that they hold some transphobic, maybe homophobic views. I don't know. I've heard my mom recently say transphobic things, so
Yeah.
Well,
Does it feel like the
That
type
shit
of
is always so out
transphobic
of the blue too. Sorry.
it's so wild.
the type of transphobic things that if they were just enlightened, they would have a little more clarity on the situation?
my mom, yes. My dad, I don't know.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dad, I think, is going to be harder. I was thinking about telling my mom and seeing if she thinks I should tell my dad or if she should tell my dad.
My mom's
Just gossip.
actively begging me not to bring it up to my dad. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm the same. Like my mom, I'm like, you just tell dad. I don't give a fuck about the last thing I want to deal with is my dad's reaction and his stupid ass questions when I tell him. You just go ahead and tell him. That way I don't have to deal with shit.
I feel like your mom will be honestly more understanding than I think we
give her credit for.
It's like for us, it's more that whole thing of like, I just don't want to have to deal with this for the rest of and like you're like doing this like I'm probably gonna cut them off kind of thing. Whereas like, as Polly was saying, like her family's so oriented to each other, you know, so it's like we can't just do a clean cut. Not that we even want to, because
but that just means that we are going to hear about it for a long time.
Constantly like having to answer for ourselves, and that's just exhausting. Like that's more why I don't want to do it. It's like, yes, it's my duty as
Identity.
a queer person to like educate people and make sure that like I'm not just letting people live ignorantly, but also it's like I shouldn't have to explain my existence to you simply because you refuse to understand it.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a hard back and forth. Like,
Yep.
tell them, don't tell them. I don't know.
Well, it was interesting because we got our mom so good on things that she's gone back on. And I was telling her, I'm like, you believe so strongly in these beliefs and like push them so hard just to say you were wrong like later.
Right.
And we just like caught her in so many things. It just like, she couldn't take a second to be like, I was wrong about all of that. Like she always assumes that she's right.
Yeah.
Even though
So-
she's only ever been wrong.
And
And then she was telling us that one day we'll realize that we're wrong.
Yeah,
Oh my
she
God.
immediately insisted that. She said, "One day you don't think you're gonna look back and see some things like that you're doing is wrong." Pretty much just insinuating that we're wrong about this.
Yeah. Damn, I was going to ask a question there.
Sorry, that was one of those things where I'm like, oh, I remember something else.
Yeah.
Does that like pertain to the fact that she's refusing everything that you
Yeah,
had
like pretty
said?
much just saying that like that's not moral. Something else that she was saying at the like end of the like conversation was like, sex is just like really like
Sacred.
it's really sacred to me, and like literally being like a weird creep about it. It was like, you're fucking weird.
It's
Well,
between
that-
two lovers.
And it's so funny because thinking back now on some of the situations where I was in of like, we talk about like, you know, oh, drag queens are doing this, but it's like my parents actively sent me to camps with other adults in places.
We said that too. We're like, you put us in situations with these other people.
Well, and the way that like, you know, you do those early morning, you know, Bible studies, you know, with your group, and then they're like, and you know, this is what God says about sex. He says to wait, and all I can say is that like, I can't wait till the day I get married so I can go to Pound Town.
I know, it's so fucking weird.
And it's like they're so obsessed with like, I'll tell you what, like I'm being abstinent now, so when I can, I'll be having it as much as I humanly possibly can because I can't wait to feel the sweet sensation that God has made so sacred for us. And it's like, oh my God, like you're so weird. And like I would go to Wendy's with a youth pastor and hang out with him and like with other boys or just by myself. And it's like, that's weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Like what?
But she couldn't understand too why we were drawing those like comparisons of like, okay, here's situations you put us in and these people did like equally, like, and just the generalizations of it all.
I know. It's like they're so concerned about our destiny. We're going to heaven, hell, and everything. And the community that we've involved ourselves in, they're saying they're pedophiles, they're groomers, they're so sexually explicit that you're in danger. And it's like going back to like sending me to summer camps where I would have 20-year-old camp counselors wrapping their hands around my waist or touching my ass or being so fucking creepy towards me. And it's like, you put me in the situation where I was unsafe and I was uncomfortable, and now I have trauma in my life. And you're blaming the fact that now that I'm in a safe space with people that love me, you think that I'm going to hell for this, and you're saying it's my job to repent and to save my soul. It's like, it is baffling.
God
to
creates
me.
people to go to hell. Like that's it, like if that's what we're following, like and believing that concept, it's literally that God creates people to go to hell because everything is God's will and God's destiny, but also we have free will, but also it's what he wants for us, but also like, you know, it's all a part of the story that hasn't been written, but is written because God's everything, but also we have free will to live among the people that we do. And it's like, okay, like, then what do you fucking mean? Like, what is going on? And also if it's like, God just creates people to go to hell then, because that's the destiny.
Yeah.
That is the destiny.
That was a lot. I think it's been over an hour.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
wrapping this shit up, right?
Yeah.
This was a hard hitting episode.
Yeah.
This is an
Variety this
episode
season.
you need to listen to if like
I'll put a
you want
trigger
to be
warning.
really depressed.
I'll put a trigger warning, honestly, at the beginning of like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a rough episode. Like, we're giving you variety with season 2. We're giving you everything.
Yeah.
That's true. So many ups and downs of this season.
Yeah.
That's life. Drag.
I think ups and ups.
Oh yeah. Ups and ups. I do like feel a lot of freedom now.
I love
honestly.
that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Gonna be on RuPaul's Drag Race and feel no qualms.
Your
And have
storyline is so
the best
good.
storyline.
Yes.
I can't wait for your mirror talk.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
No,
cool,
literally
let's
the
profit off
part
of
the
this.
part where she was like, the demon is inside you. I just saw you smile at me. Like, perfect mirror moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Noted.
Because then she's gonna turn around and have like a huge grin at everybody.
It'll be her in the confessional going,
Okay, well,
yeah.
good chats.
You guys, thanks for tuning in. Thankful always for you guys being here, interacting with us. So many big plans in the work. We just need time. But things are getting better and better every day for the Life is Drag podcast, the House of Moronica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't wait to look at our first episode and compare it to our like 50th episode. Like,
Yeah.
as far as our like makeup and how comfortable we are.
Yours specifically. I also, in advance, Polly and I are performing at 9 again, July 28th. That's probably the next time I'm going to perform, unless I feel crazy.
On a like
But,
Thursday or something.
Yeah, so
I was thinking
if
about
you
that.
do want to see us and you're in this city, come see us in drag and them in hot clothes. And yeah.
Love you guys.
Thanks,
Love you.
Veronica, for sharing your
Oh.
story.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank
Love
you for
you.
listening to this crazy story.
What a well-rounded episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.